Hour 2 of the program, ladies and gentlemen. Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Headlines brought to you by Doral Volkswagen. At Doral Volkswagen, choose over 300 new Volkswagen models in stock like the Tiguan, Taos, and Atlas. And remember, when it comes to Volkswagen, the great deals are at Doral Volkswagen. Miami Dolphins report to training camp tomorrow as practice gets going on Wednesday. Dolphins just announcing this morning they have signed their final draft pick, Jonah Savaiinaea, to a 4-year guaranteed rookie deal. So, thank God.
I think it was weird that second rounders were being signed late.
Well, what happened, Vlad, was one of the 37th pick got a fully guaranteed deal. And what you normally do is, and this is in any round, you wait until the guy above you signs, and then, or the guy below you signs, and then you base your contract off of them. So they kind of all get slotted.
Yeah,
when the 37th pick got a fully guaranteed contract, nobody else in the second round signed because we want that.
Leroy, it was 34. Houston wide receiver Jaden Higgins and Seattle Seahawks safety Nick Emanwari. They both got fully guaranteed deals. So they were 34, 35, and Savaiinaea is 37.
Right. So that's why.
That makes sense now.
And so now what you'll start seeing is it'll start trickling down. So whoever is 36, he going to fit right in a nice little hole there.
Mm-hmm.
Fully guaranteed in between 30, 35 and 37, right? And it just works its way down. So that's why the holdout is not for everybody saying it's, he's being greedy, want to get more money. No. Once the standard has been set above you or below you, then you kind of get slotted from there. And if the 2 picks before you, of the 5 picks before you, get guaranteed contracts, then your agent, if he's doing his job, should say, wait a minute, that's what we want. So that's why it took so long, because teams are going to resist giving a fully guaranteed contract, regardless of what round it is.
The Tennessee Titans, they just announced that Will Levis is undergoing season-ending surgery on his right shoulder.
What the hell did he do? Throw mails?
I don't know, dude. He's now all Cam Ward has to do is beat out Tim Boyle, and he's the starter.
Oh my
Vlad,
God.
Can I tell you how this happens? Because it happened to me. So I hurt my shoulder one season, right? I played through it, but it was taped up, wrapped up. I couldn't even hardly lift my arm. So when we get to the off season, they go, you don't need surgery. You just need rest and whatever, right? So I do that. I feel, I'm going to be honest, I felt good. Was able to do all my lifting and workouts and stuff like that going to the next season. On like the second day of practice, I reached up to get a ball, and now I'm back to square zero. So at that point, I could make 2 choices. I could try to go through the season again, or I could have the surgery. So that's how these things work. Now, it's a little bit different for a quarterback, because if you throw the ball, right, and you feel good with all the rehab, and then you get in a pressure situation, you got to zip one, and now you're back to square zero, then you can't go through that again. You got to repair it and fix it. So that's kind of how sometimes these things go. I'm not saying it was how it went with him, but a lot of injuries happen that way, and people wonder, well, why didn't he just have the surgery last year? So.
Zack Sieler, that's kind of the last piece of drama for the Dolphins, is what's going to happen with Zack Sieler's deal.
Playing.
Barry Jackson said yesterday that Drew Rosenhaus on WSVN was asked if he will be a full participant. He will be at training camp, but he says, quote, that is something that will be discussed between Zack and the Dolphins. That will be an internal discussion. We haven't talked much publicly about the situation by design. That'll be an internal between myself and Zack and the Dolphins. Zack will be at training camp on Tuesday.
Yeah. So what that means, he'll be at training camp. And he won't
Holding.
participate in any drills.
That's the new chic thing.
Yeah, it's
Holding.
That's what the hold in, right? The hold in.
Used to be a hold. You used
Yeah.
to have to have the stones to not show up. Now it's like, yeah, I'm
Well,
here.
now if you show up but don't do nothing, they can't find you.
As long as you're in
That's what
the
I'm saying, though.
facility.
Well, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
if you don't go to camp like dude with Cincinnati, if you don't go to camp, then like the team could be difficult and they could fine you. You see what I'm saying? For each day. And then you're kind of backed up against a wall to definitely get a new deal.
So we'll find out what happens with Zack Sieler, but he's kind of like the last guy that has something to be resolved for this team.
And probably one of the guys that has probably should get it, right?
I think so.
I'm not knocking anybody else who got their money, but I'm saying it almost seemed like the Dolphins were just giving, extensions, whether it was warranted or not, because they liked the guy.
Yeah, and I guess the Dolphins' only argument against it would be like, hey, we did give you a new deal. Like when the Wilkins thing was very clearly not going to work out, he ended up getting the extension, a couple of years ago. But like
at half of what everybody else.
Right. I mean, well, look, he was living in an RV, like the guy, so the guy at least now gets to go shop at Bass Pro Shop. But now, like, this guy's had done something that no other defensive tackle has done as far as producing sacks, which is what you guys were all obsessed about with Christian Wilkins.
Right.
And people keep mentioning the age of 30. And I'm like, is that a thing for him at that age? No. Like, what's a 3-year extension for a 30-year-old?
They don't want to pay. They don't mind paying him at 30. They might not even mind paying him at 31. It's 32 and 33.
But yeah, but Vlad, here's what we're not doing in this situation. Okay?
I say pay him.
It started with running back, right? And now they're trying to use that age for other positions.
It is going to be used for other positions.
But here's the deal. There's certain positions that play well into their 30s because of the position they play. To lump them in to that running back scenario is a bit unfair.
And I'll give you a reason why.
Why?
You have many defensive tackles. Most defenses are 4-3s or 5-2, 5-2, 4s. So you're going to have many defensive tackles. So just like running backs, there always going to be a defensive tackles or a plethora of defensive tackles in the draft every year for you to draft them, get them to the rookie years. Now, when you have the special ones, you try to lock them down like the Aaron Donalds when he was playing, players of that ilk. I'm thinking, I don't think they should. I don't think that should be the way they should move right now in the NFL by, a certain age. When you get to 30, it seems to me when you get to 30, the only position that doesn't get affected by the age of 30 is the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
But wide receiver, cornerback, running backs, once you hit 30, they want to get younger.
But here's the thing, though. There's a couple of things that would fly in the face of that if you're the Dolphins, right? One, Zack Sieler's not your typical lineman. Like, he plays a ton of snaps, and he's done it for what, 3 straight years. Like, it was like the inordinate amount of snaps that him and Wilkins were playing, and then last year where he's got Calais Campbell next to him, and then the other thing is like you're concerned about Calais. Like, Calais Campbell was pushing 40 last year, and you were fine with him being out there, so you can't be super concerned about age at that position. You obviously know that you've just seen somebody be super productive at it, and that's not even that's not even at the workload that Zack Sieler is going to be at. Like, I kind of feel like this guy's still going to be in his prime for a couple of years, if not 3. Like, I think the age thing is crazy. I think if the Dolphins are using age against Zack Sieler, that just doesn't pass the smell test with me.
Right. Here's the
real deal of it. The Dolphins are in a spot right now where they have spent their money incorrectly, and everybody who they extended and kind of gave the old attaboy deal to bit him in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Ramsey, Tua,
Mike
McDaniel, all these guys. So now you're in a spot where, oh, well, we don't want to get burned by Zack Sieler. And, like, let's be real about it. That dude is the pro's pro. He has worked himself up literally from nothing to become one of those productive defensive linemen in the league, and now you're going to hold age over him. Get out of here,
But
dude.
they have released a lot of their. They went from being one of the oldest teams last season to being one with like the 7th youngest team.
I understand, but he's not like. But he's just getting to 30. Like
I get that. So I'm just saying, maybe it's why the thinking now, why the change of thought from going after those veterans, those free agents, and signing them to now wanting to be a younger
sure.
team.
But the other thing is you're so thin at that position, you legitimately like had to use a first round pick to get your other starter. Like that's you're hopeful that Kenny G comes in here and is a menace next to him right away,
Right.
which is a big ask, by the way. But that's how thin you are at that position. You knew you had to go. We all knew coming into that draft that the Miami Dolphins had to draft in their first 2 picks somebody to play next to Zack Sieler because you were losing Calais Campbell.
Right. But and the other thing is this. It's one thing to use information to try to justify not paying a guy. Okay. But in the last 2 years on this team, he has been your most effective defensive player. And what I would say about that, you got to be careful with how you treat the guys who are most important to your team.
And not only that, Leroy, if we're talking about identity of this team, right? And you're saying like the entire thing with the Dolphins is they're a soft team. This is literally like one of your only guys who like owns the trenches for sure.
Right.
And you're like, nah, what are we doing? That's crazy to me.
I think it is, he should get paid. I think they will pay him, but I don't like the reasons they're using to be hesitant in paying him. Right?
Yeah, age is a crazy reason.
That's not for that position, especially when you just gave a guy that was what 37. Guy you brought at 37, would you give him $4 million?
Yeah,
right.
For him, Tyreek Hill you extended. You didn't know what his age was, like, and
Right.
that's a
How
speed
can you
position.
just Vlad? If all you're saying is true, then how do you justify giving Tyreek an extension?
Here's the thing.
No.
I'll tell you this. Here's the thing. Boss Ross was wilding last summer.
He was.
He was wilding because he was just giving everybody anything that they wanted. So everybody got their extensions. So in hindsight, last season they could have really, screwed the pooch to say, because none of the extensions were kicking in until this season. One of the guys that got the extension was Jalen Ramsey, and they let him go.
Oof.
That was probably the money that should have gone to Zack Sieler, but consistent with what the Dolphins do, they make those players prove it another season, and then the player proves it another season, and then guess what happens? Their price goes up. So with Tyreek, their mindset is Tyreek and Tua, 2 years together, they've put up some crazy numbers. We're keeping Tua. We got to keep his weapon. And that's why I think if they had the choice of picking between Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey to let go, since both those two were the guys that would continue to be late, because Tyreek is on the offensive end, that's why he stayed.
But I can now, like, if we're going to talk about like their decisions, like the Jonnu Smith thing, while it sucks, like I kind of understand the idea of like, well, we invested all this into his targets, like we better do that with we better make those contracts work and be worth it. We can't just keep giving every weapon and making them the highest paid this, the highest paid that. I just don't know what you could do on the defensive side. Like he's like on the defensive side of the football with a team that has an unproven secondary outside of Minkah Fitzpatrick now. And you're going to have a rookie next to him, and you're going to have, pass rushers who are hopefully going to round back into form. And then you have Chop Robinson, who I hope is going to continue to like, he's the surest thing on the defense. Maybe Jordan Brooks is like the only other guy.
No, it's Zack Sieler.
But I think it's Zack Sieler.
Here's what I would say. I would say this, that if you are looking at this team and you're aware of their strengths and their weaknesses, you have to make damn sure based on what you know of this team right now, that you do everything you can to solidify the pass rush, because that will happen. That will help what you have in the secondary or what you don't have. And I know what I have from a pass rush situation and who's coming back, what guys have done, and hopefully the young guy could come in and add to that. But you have literally no idea what's going on in the secondary besides Minka Fitzpatrick. They're going to move him around a lot. They're going to play him as a slot corner, right? And so from that standpoint, you got 4 spots back there when you go nickel that you're not sure of. So that means I can have an average secondary if I have an excellent pass rush. But I cannot have a great secondary if I have a below average pass rush.
Do you think that he shows up to the contract negotiations wearing the cowboy hat? Like, do you think he goes does he walk in like a sheriff to Chris Greer's office at the table and like start spitting tobacco into
just
like
walk out with chaps? Just walk out with chaps.
Maybe Mike McDaniel just challenges him like a man. He goes, "What are you, yellow?" He goes, "What do you say?" He goes, "I said, what are you, yellow?"
Right. What does this say though if you don't take care of Zack Sieler to the rest of the team?
What it's been saying for the last how many years Chris Greer has been the general manager. They don't take care of their peoples.
I tell you what, if I'm a GM, there's a couple of things that I make damn sure I'm gonna do to keep my job. Right? And that is this. Number 1, every guy that I drafted, I'm going to make sure that if he's worth anything, he's still on this team because it makes me look good. Right? When you start letting guys go and start signing free agents and stuff like that, and your team is filled with free agents and not draft picks, and you have no cheap talent on your team, okay, that is definitely a recipe for failure. Because now we're going to look back at Chris Greer and we're going to look at this team and we're going to say he didn't draft it well because none of those guys are on the team.
Evan 11 says Mike's telling Zack Sieler, "This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Zach." Just imagine Mike McDaniel just getting wild enough to call out Zack Sieler on his manhood. I feel like that ends poorly for Mike McDaniel.
Dude, if Zack Sieler sneeze, Mike McDaniel's flying 60 yards.
Do you feel like could he give Mike McDaniel an atomic wedgie and just curl him with one arm?
Yes. He could use him as a bench press.